And let me throw in here real quickly. Jacob had his own issue worrying about what happened with Laban and the whole thing that happened with Esau, of course, and now the whole situation the thing that happened with Laban. Okay. And leaving Laban and all that. Okay. And so he had his own little hidden things going on in his mind, little worries and things going on in his mind. Okay. So he was thinking that this was like back karma coming to him, you know what I mean, for the things that he did earlier, you know. Anyway, so meanwhile in Egypt, so Joseph goes into Egypt. The first thing that happened once he got there, he ends up at a man named Potiphar's house. And he became Potiphar's slave, like, you know, and he worked for Potiphar, and he was Potiphar's slave and did things for Potiphar. Okay. And he was there for some time. Now, once Joseph got up into his latter 20s, coming into his, you know, those years, and he's got his look going on, and he's handsome, and he's got his little look going on, Potiphar's wife, she was like, "You gonna be with me?" she was trying to force herself onto Joseph. She was like, "Come lay with me, be with me," you know. And Joseph was like, because Potiphar was kind of cool with Joseph. He let him. He was a slave of Potiphar's house and all that, but Potiphar was a good man to him. He gave him all kinds of stuff, let him do all kinds of things. So he was kind of like cool in Potiphar's house. You know what I mean? He wasn't a really bad slave master, if you will. But she was on to him, and she wanted him bad. And every opportunity she got, she was trying to get him to get with her. Until one time, finally, Potiphar was going out of town and was going to go away for like a few weeks. You know where this is going, all right? He was going to go away for a few weeks. He got the camels and his men and his money ready and all that, and he left Joseph at the house with her. And she was like, "Okay, it's on now." So she got, you know, "Come lay with me. And he's like, "No, get out of here. I'm not going to lay with you. Your husband he allowed me to come into his house. He's a good man to me. He's treated me well, doing wonderful things for me. You know what I mean? Gave me half the stuff in his house. I'm not going to just defile him and defile his respect with going with you, this and the other." She just like started like coming on him like really hard, like aggressively, physically aggressively coming on to him. And at one point, she grabbed him, and he like ran and broke away and ran out from her presence. But when he ran out, she held on to him and held on to his coat, and he ran out of the coat and ran outside and took off. Now she's got his coat in his hand. Now I'm assuming between the possible gossip of people may have seen some of this or heard some of this, maybe some of the other people who worked in there. You know what I mean? And her worry, she was worried that when Potiphar comes back, the word might get out that this happened. So she turns it around. "You brought this, look at this, you brought this Hebrew in here to me, and he tried to rape me. And defile me on my bed, but I held on to his coat." Well, anyway, Potiphar comes back. And that's exactly what happened. She told him, he tried to rape me, and he tried to rape me and get with me and defile me and disrespect me, but I held on to his coat to show you that he did these horrible things. And of course, that meant Joseph got to go down to the prison. You got to go down to the king's prison. Potiphar put him down. He's down in the prison now. And there he is down there now. So he's in the prison now. Now, while he was in prison, the Lord made favor. He found favor in the prison guard's eyes. Now, remember with the story of Daniel? Daniel was in prison, and the prince of the eunuchs, the guy in charge of the prisoners down there, was Daniel's buddy. So here's now Joseph. That happened many years later. Here's Joseph now. He goes into the prison, And God put favor in the prison guard's eyes, and him and Joseph are real cool. Okay, they're real cool and stuff. He put Joseph in charge of everything going down there in the prison. All this is God being with Joseph. This, of course, with his promise that he made with Abraham. Now this is all down in Abraham's lineage, and now here's Joseph. Joseph's getting, even though it seems real hard, and that's a very important thing. I was not going to wait to tell you this. I'll tell you this now. Look at some of these stories back here in the Old Testament in particular. Look at these stories, and you're going to see a pattern. Them not knowing that God had things going on, and through some of the most hard, depressing, horrible moments, very, very testy and very pressure and serious problems for these people, and yet they're going to come out of it. And it's a blessing hidden in disguise. It's a blessing in disguise. I say that for some of you out there who might be going through some hard whatever, even though you believe in God, you pray to him, you worship him, and you have faith in him. And even when your faith is tested, he's going to work things out. Whether you know it or you don't even know it. He's going to work things out for you. Well, here's where you get a chance to see all of this. Anyway, so he's down in the prison. Look at this factor that the prison guard, they become buddies. He puts Joseph in charge of everything. Y'all want sandwiches? Y'all got to go to Joseph. Whatever happens, you got to go to Joseph. So Joseph's down there. Well, one day, these two guys down in the prisons, they were really depressed and broken and wounded and upset. And they were like, and Joseph, and they were, everybody saw him like, they were like, man, what's wrong with you guys, man? Is everything all right? What's wrong? And they're like, man, we're depressed, man. We're broken and we're depressed, man. And he said, and Joseph's like, what happened? He said, we both had these dreams, man. We had these dreams. I had one and he had one. One guy was a butler and the other guy was a baker. And they worked for the king. And the king got Pharaoh, not the king, the Pharaoh of Egypt. And Pharaoh got upset and put both of these guys in prison. And he said, well, we're just trying to find somebody to interpret these dreams and tell us what these dreams mean. You know what I mean? And Joseph was like, well, I'm not a dream teller, nothing like that. But the God that I serve, he can interpret your dreams. He said, and the first one said, okay, I'll tell you my dream. He said, I had a dream that I was walking and I had the Pharaoh's chalice in my hand, his cup in my hand. And Pharaoh was having a great feast. And I had his cup in my hand, and I walked up and gave him that chalice, that cup, and he drank. He went and drank the wine out of the chalice. Okay, I think it happened 3 times. And Joseph said, and the Lord revealed to him right there what was going on. He said, your dream, in 3 days, the three times mean 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh is going to call you and he's going to call you and ask you to give him wine and be at his feast. And you're going to give him the wine and he's going to let you live. And you're going to go back to your job at Pharaoh's, with Pharaoh. The other man was kind of excited. Well, I had a dream too. Listen to my dream. He said, okay, go ahead. He said, I had 3 baskets on my head, 3 baskets. And the baskets had 3 loaves of bread in them. And the birds came down and was eating the bread out of these baskets. What's that all about? And the Lord revealed to him, Joseph, his dream. He said, in the dream means in those baskets, 3 baskets, 3 birds, that's in 3 days, Pharaoh is going to chop your head off. That's what those birds, in 3 days you're going to be dead because Pharaoh's going to chop your head off. Whew. Okay. All right. And then right after all of that, Pharaoh had a dream. But now, before I get to Pharaoh's dream, he told that first, the first butler with the chalice of wine. He said, "Now, when you get out, man, don't forget me, man. Don't forget me out there. Tell Pharaoh I'm down here. Let him know how I'm doing. Don't tell him don't forget me down here. Don't forget me. He said, I got you, man. Don't worry about it." So, all right. Then Pharaoh has a dream. Pharaoh has a dream. And it troubled him so, and he was trying to figure out what it meant, this, that, and the other. And he was all upset. And everybody was upset because he had this dream, which is similar to King Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel's story, right? I know. Anyway, so he has this dream, and he's troubled. He's trying to find somebody to interpret the dream. He's going around and everybody's talking about it. And Pharaoh had this dream and everybody's talking about it. And everybody's trying to figure out who can interpret the dream for him, this, that, and the other. And then the butler who came back to Pharaoh with the chalice, he came back. He says, "Oh, forgive me, Pharaoh. Great Pharaoh, please forgive me. I remembered something. There was a man down in the prison, down in the dungeons with me, a Joseph from the Hebrews. The butler, me and the baker had dreams, and he was able to tell our dreams, and it happened exactly the way the interpretation was exactly what he said. That I gave you the wine in the chalice, and you restored my place in my job with you, and the butler, the birds ate the bread out of his baskets on his head, and you had him beheaded for whatever reason that he had it beheaded. And I just want to let you know that Pharaoh, that Hebrew, Joseph, he was able to tell the dream." So he's like, "Really? Okay." And he had his men, "You go get this Joseph and bring him up." Now Potiphar had Joseph put in the jail. So Pharaoh didn't know who this Joseph was. So they cleaned Joseph up, shaved him and cleaned him up and all that. Here you come. "So you can interpret my dream?" And Joseph gave the same answer that Daniel gave years later. "I can't tell you a dream. I can't interpret your dreams, but the God that I serve, the God of Abraham, he'll be able to interpret your dream." And Pharaoh said, "Okay, well, my dream was I saw 7 fat cows, super fat. Like almost unnaturally fat, big, gigantic fat cows. And then over there, and then I saw 7 little skinny cows. They were so skinny and teeny, I couldn't even. They they looked like famished so bad that you really didn't want to look at them. They were like so malnourished and horrible, almost falling over, and they were so horrible. And these 7 skinny little malnourished cows ate up the 7 fat cows. Okay. And even when they ate them, they were still hungry and stuff, But then I kind of woke up and I went back to sleep. And then I had the same kind of dream again. It was 7 trees. Big, fat, and full, and flourishing, and all the branches and leaves and all kinds of things going on with these trees. And then I saw 7 trees over there. They looked like little branches. They were so bad. They were so small in their look, in whatever. And the 7 teeny little skinny little trees came over here and ate up the big fat trees. And you know what I mean? Well, what's that all about? And Joseph said, "The dreams that you saw, Pharaoh, are one. God is showing you what's about to happen. Okay? The 7 trees and the 7 cows. The 7 is 7 years. There are going to be 7 years of great plenty. Great plenty. 7 years of it. Followed by 7 years of famine. The famine is going to be so bad and so horrible that it'll be as though the years of plenty never even happened. It's going to be so bad. So that's what those dreams are all about. Now, what you might want to do when you get to the 7 years of plenty, in that 7 years of plenty, when you get around the 5th year of that plenty, between the 4th and 5th year, save your grain. Go in and pile up grain and save up grain, pile up grain, save up grain, so that when the 7 years of famine comes, you'll still be squared away. You've saved up a whole lot of grain, and people from all over the world will come up the Nile to come to trade and buy and sell from you. And that's what the dream meant. And Pharaoh was so excited. He was like, man, thank you. You are so right. That's so wonderful. And the men were like, and so he took it to Pharaoh took it to his men, his council, and says, okay, this is what's going to happen in 7 years. We're going to have to stock up this, that, and the other. Now, we need somebody who's wise enough to be able to handle all of this and deal with this, that, and the other. And Pharaoh was like, no, I got somebody wise enough to deal with all this. Joseph, who told me all of this. Him and his worship with his God, I want him to be the one to be the one in charge of all of this. So Joseph gets the job to be the one who take care of all of this. Woo. Okay. And we're going to cut right here and come back to what happened in that case. Okay? All right.